Hi guys, welcome back. So if you do not know me, my name is Lizzie Morris and I want to make this video inspired by Obese To Beast. He has this new series on his channel called Heavy Talk. I don't know if he'll see this video and I would love to go on his channel. I just have like a similar-ish story to a lot of the people he's recently interviewed. And I know he wanted to interview people that have like lost a substantial amount of weight and like kind of struggled. I'm actually down 47 pounds as of like 2 days ago. I was 317.8 because my highest weight is 364.8. I watched his series Heavy Talk. It made me remember a lot of stuff I forgot about being 360 pounds, which I know I'm still in the 300s, but I don't know if anyone else that you've been on a weight loss journey, if you kind of know what I'm talking about. But when you're gaining, like me at 317 when I was gaining is a different person than me at 317 losing. Does that make sense? Partially that probably has to do with like what foods you're eating at each weight. Like if I'm eating junk food at 317 and I'm eating healthy at this 317, it's gonna be different dynamic and different energy source and all that kind of stuff. It's very, very different. And just because the way I'm fueling my body now, there are so many things I forgot about being at 360 pounds. And it kind of like made my memory come back about all the things that I struggled with when I was that weight. And there's things I still struggle with now. So I have been overweight since about between first and second grade. It really started happening in second grade because around that time, my parents separated when I was actually, I think it had to have been first grade or like kindergarten. I remember specifically because I was going to private school at the time and my parents were really young. I really still don't know how they paid for private school for like 3 years. But basically they couldn't afford my tuition for like the last half a semester. So they were separated. My dad couldn't afford it. He even sold his flat screen TV at the time. And this is a big bulky flat screen TVs. He sold that and tried to pay for my tuition. And you know, my dad did everything he could for us, even though what I'm gonna say might sound opposite, but he really tried. So he couldn't afford my tuition and I didn't go to school for a few months. I remember being excited. My little sister at the time was not in school yet. I remember when I was told I wasn't going back to school, I was so excited. I remember us hugging. I don't know if my sister would remember this because she was so young, but I remember us hugging and jumping up and down. I was like so pumped that I got to spend the rest of the few months with my sister. But at that time, like I said, my parents separated and my dad was an alcoholic until the day he died. You know, his 9-year death anniversary just passed on September 12th. He tried the best he could. You know, he was a single father for a while. My mom kind of went off and did her own thing for a while. You know, no judgment about that. It was what it was. My dad had custody for us for a while. He fed us pizza. I remember I lost my first tooth eating a Tostitos pizza. I kid you not. I remember I was eating a crusty ass pizza and my tooth came out. So it was that, you know, chicken nuggets, macaroni, like easy, unhealthy meals. Before my mom and dad separated, I was I was doing cheerleading, I did ballet. That's when it started, and that's when I started really, you know, it was a rough time. Like my mom was gone. Like I said, I love my dad. I think he did the best he could. But with his alcoholism, it was definitely like there was difficult times, and I was the oldest child. And if you're the oldest child, you know, especially when my mom had me when she was 15, like my parents were really young, okay? So they're still trying to figure out who they are, and they're struggling and all this stuff. So being the oldest child, like you go through everything way harder than the other kids typically, because your parents are figuring out how to be parents with you first. It was just more difficult for me, and I started to use food as a coping mechanism. Like hindsight's 2020, it was 100% true. I remember into second grade, it was every single day. They had ice cream, and my dad would give me 50 cents to get an ice cream sandwich, and I would eat ice cream sandwiches at lunch every single day. Literally every single day. I would come home, have a bag of popcorn and sweet tea for an after school snack, or I'd have like crackers and a sweet tea, and then we'd eat dinner, which was usually like chicken nuggets or pizza or chicken nuggets or pizza. Like it was always the same like 4 or 5 junk food items. And we were also poor at the time, which now I know you can eat healthy on a budget, but you guys get it. It's difficult. I'm not trying to make excuses for my family. It just was what it was. I don't think any parent assumes their kid's gonna grow up to be morbidly obese. I just don't think most parents think about that, especially when they're not obese themselves. None of my family's ever been my size that I know of. So I think I'm pretty much the biggest person in my entire family. That just shows that. Just dealing with everything I dealt with, you know, I'm gonna make a whole story on my actual life story in detail and all the things I went through. But I had an abusive stepfather at one point, and it was just crazy. It was crazy. So food was like my safe haven. Food made me feel good. Food was something I looked forward to. But I would look forward to the next meal. I would look forward to my next snack. So the older I got, you know, it was just easier to stick to that lifestyle. So I grew up living that way and kept the habits up. Senior year of high school, I got up to 263.3 pounds, okay? Remember the exact weight. Obese to Beasts, if you're watching, you know what program I'm about to be talking about. I did Optavia, which at the time was called Take Shape for Life. So I don't know if the foods are different now. My uncle is actually both my uncles are health coaches with that program. So I did Take Shape for Life / Optavia / what else do they call it? MediFast. So I got down to 200 pounds. I never saw under 200. I really maintained my weight. So I actually got down that 200 pounds within about the first 5 months I got down, but then I would teeter between 200 and like 205, 210-ish for a while. I maintained that 60 pounds lost up until January of 2016. Okay, and I got on birth control. I have a whole story on my birth control horror story and all of that. I definitely think birth control was what kind of started me back up gaining weight. The first month I was on Marina, I gained 20 pounds. I was still working out. I was still doing everything correctly. I really was. I was so dedicated at that point. Like, I was in college. I was feeling good. At 200 pounds, I was feeling amazing. I'm 5'6", but I carry a lot of my weight in my legs. Even now when I'm losing weight, I mean, I still have a lot in my stomach right now because I'm 317 pounds. But my waistline, like where they actually measure your waist, is like shrunk so much. And that's because I have more of an hourglass figure the more I shrink. So a lot of it would be in my legs, and I was wearing size small t-shirts. I mean, my clothes were really small. I looked really good, and I was working out a lot, and it felt amazing. So after that first month, I gained 20 pounds, and I think within like 3, maybe 4 months, I gained 40 pounds. And I will tell you, I was planning my wedding. I ended up getting married in October of that year. And so I remember I would go to my cousin's house and we would work out on workout machines, and I would eat my food, and I was trying so hard. And I was not seeing results at all. Like, now this is where it turns on me. This is completely on me. I basically gave up. I'm sure some of you understand what it's like when you're trying so hard and you're not seeing results, and you're gaining all the weight back that you had lost. I could barely fit into my wedding dress on my wedding day because we got it in July. And that was hard. All that work down the drain. And so at that point, I truly just gave up. I said, screw it. I'm going to eat what I want. And I can't keep doing this to myself. I feel like I'm failing. Between January of 2016 and November of 2018, I gained 160 pounds. So this is where I wanted to talk about that heavy talk series, because I have lost and gained a lot of weight, over 200 pounds worth. And by the way, I was 21 when I started to lose weight this last time. So what 21-year-old wants to be 360 pounds? Some of it might be TMI, so be prepared for that. So number one, my joints were hurting so bad. When I moved out here, my car broke down. I really never went anywhere. I didn't have a job, like a actual 9 to 5 where I left the house. I didn't have no one to go hang out with. I was literally at home 99% of the time and not doing anything. So I remember getting off the couch, and it, like, my joints were so stiff, like my hips hurt. It was just really hard to move around. I remember trying to go up and down the stairs, and my joints were just stiff, and it hurt, and it felt like they were popping every second. I thought I had arthritis. That's how bad it was. It hurt, and it was very, very painful. Something else, this is the TMI part. So when you get up to that 360-ish pound mark, it gets hard to wipe. Yeah, it really does. I don't struggle with that anymore, thank goodness. Another thing is whenever we would go to places, or I knew we were going on a trip or something, I would get extremely nervous Not because I was embarrassed of being so big. Like, honestly, there were times when I was embarrassed of my size only because of the lack of mobility. And that's what I'm getting into. Like, obviously, I didn't like being that size. I didn't like being so overweight. But I wasn't like super embarrassed. You know, I would still take full body pictures. I would still do videos, and like that was okay. But what the embarrassing part is when you can barely walk. The embarrassing part was when you're out of breath walking 5 steps. And so that's what's embarrassing, is like the uncomfortableness, the, you know, hanging off a seat, you know, that kind of thing. I flew on a plane in July, and something I was still nervous about. I was really scared I wouldn't fit into like the plane seats. And that was something I knew at 364 pounds. Oh, I knew I could never fly. I knew I was never going to be able to do that. I knew I could never ride a roller coaster again. At 360 pounds, I was barely getting my seatbelt buckled. I mean, barely. I was really at the point where I was probably needing a seatbelt extension to be comfortable. Honestly, that was another reason I started losing weight, is like these were all factors that contribute to why I just got my shit together. You know, infertility was a big part of it. I wasn't fitting in the car well. I was so uncomfortable driving. My thighs would hit the steering wheel when the steering wheel was pushed all the way up. It was a whole workout just walking upstairs. Like, even when I lost weight from 260 to 200 pounds, that whole time, that whole over a year where I really maintained that, I would eat junk food occasionally. It wasn't often. Occasionally I would eat what I wanted to. It wouldn't be like a binge. It wouldn't be like a whole week. Never. It would just be every now and then at family events and stuff. And I remember multiple family members being like, are you supposed to eat that? Like, aren't you on a diet? Am I not allowed to be human sometimes? I'm just giving you guys the tea, okay? That stuff used to really bother me. That was another reason why I started to kind of dislike being that size. Not in the way people are probably thinking. Like, I didn't dislike being healthy. I loved being fit. I loved exercising and eating good and all that stuff. But I despised the program I was doing. I started to despise being around the people I was around, because I just felt like I could not be human for 5 seconds. If I stopped losing weight, I was still doing the program, but I maintained my weight. And people would ask me, like, have you lost any more weight? And I'm like, no, I'm kind of happy where I'm at. And I was content right there at the time being. But I started to despise the whole thing. And now I actually have family trying to get me back on that program again, even though I've lost almost 50 pounds by myself and I'm doing really good. The last time I lost weight, I'm so grateful for it. It taught me a lot. It changed everything for me. Even though I gained triple back, like, it really was a good experience. It gave me more confidence. Even with me gaining that 160 pounds, like, that confidence lasted. I learned a lot. But I truly felt I kind of started losing weight that time because everyone was like, hey, if you want to do this, like, we'll do it for you. Like, we'll pay for it. You know, we're here for you, whatever. I don't think I felt pressured. I just felt like I was obligated to lose weight. And I'm sure you guys understand if you've ever been in that situation where you're not ready to necessarily, like, you want to, but you're not ready to commit, but you do it for other people. If someone's went through it, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Like I said, it felt great. I built confidence, but I didn't do it for me. I had to gain that 160 pounds to do it for myself, because now I'm doing it just by eating normal foods. I've learned portion control on my own. I'm actually learning habits that I can use for the rest of my life, and I'm actually learning a lot more about myself and learning how to take care of my body. And even if it's slow, I'm doing the things that I need to do to get where I want to be, and I'm doing it the right way. And I'm proud of myself. You know, a lot of people think losing weight by yourself is hard and lonely, and maybe for some people it is. I would say back in the day, if I had to do all that by myself, it would have been difficult. But now, at least for me, I enjoy doing this by myself. I have supporters like YouTube. You know, I don't have anyone in my house. You know, my husband's not really losing weight. He just ate a bag of Doritos. Like, come on. You know, I don't have really anyone doing this with me at all. Nobody in my family has ever been my size. No one in my family would ever come close to understanding what I've been through. And I'm not saying that to pity. I'm just saying they just don't understand. That's fine. But I'm doing it alone, and it feels so good, guys. I am so proud of myself. I'm more proud of myself than I've ever been in my entire life. I don't know what else can make me more proud besides having a kid. I really don't, because I'm doing the damn thing that I've struggled with since I was 6 or 7 years old. and I'm doing it alone. And that's how you know you're creating habits that it's going to last forever, when you're doing it alone and you are confident in yourself and what you're doing. I don't sit here and think about, ooh, what's my next meal going to be? That's what I used to do. Food is not my happy place anymore. It's not. And that feels so good. I'm going to cry. I think this is the first time I've cried about this whole journey. I really think it is. And I think my phone's about to die. Oh my gosh, it's on 8%, so maybe I should try to hurry this up. I think this is really the first time I've cried about this, because I'm really saying it out loud. I've been thinking it for a while, but food used to be my happy place. That's how you get that big, is when you rely on food to make you feel good inside, when in reality you feel like shit. But it's an addiction. It's real. It's a real addiction, you guys. And I've beat it. I beat it, you guys. Like, I can't believe I can say that. Like, I might not be exactly where I want to be. I might not be at my goal weight, but I'm so confident in this process, and confident from how far I've came, and confident with my goals, that I know I'm not going back. But I can't. I'm really proud of myself, and I'm getting better at not getting so upset when people in my family or people around me don't understand, and I don't expect them to understand, or they want me to do things their way, or they just don't see the transformation I really have. And that's fine. Not everyone's gonna see, because not everyone can feel what I feel inside. Not everyone can see my day-to-day life and the things I've learned and the things I do to better myself. But I don't know, I'm really emotional right now. Oh my gosh. I want to share my story, and I want people to understand, like, as a teenager who went through this, during their first 2 years of marriage, I gained 160 pounds, you guys. It did a lot. It did a lot to me. But I'm beating it every single day, and you guys can too. I promise you. I never thought I could come out of that. Once I got so far in, you really lose hope. You say, what's the point of trying? What's the point? Nothing's working. So you get so lost and so into it that you just kind of give up. I just want you to know, I promise you, you can come out of it. I promise you, you can. If I can do it, you can do it. I've struggled with eating since I was 6 or 7 years old. It was my happy place. It was my comfort. It was my addiction. It was my addiction, you guys. I love you guys so much, and please subscribe to the channel if you found value in any of this. See you guys later.